Hi everyone, Alchemist Lion here, and today we're going to hit up the Northwest amp in this Canny Valley Endurance set that I'm going through. So let's begin. Okay, so the Northwest amp gets its name aptly because it is located in the northwest part of the map. Go figure, its spawns would be from the north as well as the west. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at how I have this all set up. So I'm going to start this by building in the west, and I just find that the west spawn is probably the harder of the two to kind of get figured out, just because of how wide the spawn range is and such the wide path all the way down to the amp that they can follow. So it's the one that I like to cover first, and they kind of end up blending together because there's a lot of block off that gets done as you're building this, especially kind of through the mountain areas over here. As well as when it gets down to around the amp, there's kind of a dual functioning wall that I utilize down there to kind of make this work. So what I'll do is I'll show you the spawns here for the west, and then we'll kind of take a look at how this is all put together. So here we have the west spawn of the northwest amp, and you see it basically just starts kind of right where this cliff is along here, in line with where this cliff is. That's kind of where it starts, and then it goes all the way across here. They really like to try to throw at me while I'm here. It goes all the way across here, kind of right where it dips down this hill. That's where we have a spawn tail over here too. And so this wide range, it's all open, and the main challenge is to try to get them down that cliff into one spot so that you can hit them without them kind of spreading out too much. And they kind of go through here. They'll walk either this path or they'll walk this path. And they basically want to try to get down to the amp there. So they're getting hit with a lot as they're trying to do that. So the first thing I like to do is I like to take care of this south side as they walk all the way down there. Now, one of the things I don't have, but I do know that sometimes you could get a husk, like especially a flinger kind of going down this way. You could build a wall here. I just haven't felt a need to. I haven't had a need to do that at all. But that is something, if you do notice them going down there, that is something that you can do. Again, I'm trying to go with a minimum build, and in order to pull this off, you really have to have good stats. So I'll kind of disclaimer that your tech scores definitely need to be good. And in Canny and Twine, you can't really get away with low durability. There's a lot of cross spawns that take place, and it's just a good thing to have. It makes the endurances easier. Can you pull it off with it a little lower? Probably, but you'll need a lot more builds than what I'm putting on right now, and there's a lot of ways you can do that. Like you can extend the spawn areas, you can throw walls up, like I was saying before, closer towards the amps, just to give yourself some extra damage. So there's lots of different things you can do and still utilize a build like this, but I do want to put a disclaimer before we kind of go through this. This isn't, for somebody probably trying to first do Canny. This is more just once you get your stats up to see kind of what you can get away with and reducing the builds down. So it still works, but it just looks a lot cleaner. I like these builds because of how open the areas are, because I like to fight occasionally. I like to AFK, but I also like to fight on the occasion. So I don't like my builds being too sensitive. I like the mobility of being able to walk around and having a little fun in them. So let's get started. Down here is kind of where I start. And right where that cliff is, and again, I have builds that you probably don't even need here. Like I know you don't need that one, and you don't need that one really, but I have block off. And it's basically just walls, cones, and they're just edited to block off the path that they're walking. And so I have, 2 rows plus a wall. So 5 builds basically blocking their path here. And then I have this little corner blocked off down here so they don't drop down that little ramp to go around. And then what I have inside this little part where they go down is 2 freeze traps and then 2 darts. So if anything does walk down here, and occasionally it will, they're getting hit with these darts, then they're getting hit with these electric fields, then they're kind of getting frozen here, and when they want to try to beat on the wall here, these darts are taking care of them. I find sometimes if they do manage to get past the the freeze traps, they will kind of hit here and bang, but within like 1 or 2 hits, these darts are doing their thing, and that's the end of that, really. But again, you could add more to it if you really wanted to add some extra security, like some dynamos along the back wall, but I haven't needed to, and I'm trying to keep the builds down to as little as possible. I probably wouldn't even need this freeze trap right here, because they're not really going to bang on this part. They don't really want to hit here. Their main goal would be to come over here. And so, like, even now, there's lots of places that I am seeing while I'm doing this that I know I can reduce. It's just I got something working that's kind of at a really nice spot right now, so that's why I'm sharing it. But I find there's never an end to refining an endurance. You can always make improvements. You can always switch things up. There's never like the ultimate or perfect way. It just, you kind of get what's working and you kind of stick with it. But yeah, so then I have a little bit of block off. So just a cone with 2 walls here, just to kind of solidify this section of tiles. And I don't want anything walking over and climbing over the block off. I don't want anything, breaking it if they wanted to go over this way and try to skip across some of it. I don't want that happening. And so that's the south side, really. That's how I'm dealing with that side. On this piece now, so kind of right where the ghost amp is, I have a bunch of floor traps. And I'm pretty sure I can't really get into here. No, there's no floor there. Right at this piece. Instead, what I have is I have 4 walls set up. And if we take a look on the inside, how I have that set up, it's all solid except for this back wall, which is this little window wall, so the dart can shoot through. And we have a dynamo right here. Well, I use zap-o-maxes, but they're the same thing, as they're kind of coming around this side. And on the other 3 walls, it's all speakers. So this one's doubled up. And then what I have is I have a floor tile up here with my anti-air kind of looking up over, and that's just a little elevated to give a little bit more protection where I don't fully have a lobber shield. This is more just to keep this setup going. And I don't even have a tire right here where I could. I don't put them over the actual ghost amp itself. But as I said, I haven't needed to put a tire there, so I just haven't. And then I have some anti-airs also kind of in line. And then right at this part of the ghost amp, I have floor spike. And then right on the other side, I have a floor spike. And then as I'm pathing them in, you'll see on this side, I have another one of these cubes. Now I'm using these floors, and I don't really know if they're doing anything. I haven't broken them to test to see if it, changes things or not. But inside these little like waffly cubey things that I'm using as block off, I have floors occasionally. So I'll show that here. Now I don't have anything on this wall, but I do have a speaker here with a window, and then there's a dart shooting through that. And then see, even right here, I had a dart here. But I have since closed that off, so that's not really doing anything right now except for being insurance. So even that dart there doesn't really have to be there at this stage because it's part of an older piece. But on this side, in this cube, I do have a dart shooting through a dynamo here. So on this second row, I have another floor tile that, again, I could probably break, but I just have it there for the aesthetics of having it all tiled out. And then once they skip past that, I do have a speaker here with a dart shooting through 2 layers. And so I'll come over here now and we'll just take a look. So this is where these darts are. In between those darts, I have a dart here shooting through on this side. And you'll notice right where those anti-airs are, I do have a floor edited this way. And then I have all these windows because if you look through the windows, there's pretty much darts in every window. But I don't want to put speakers there because I found if I put speakers on this wall, you might get smashers aggroing towards them. If they see certain traps they don't like, it kind of almost makes them path towards that spot to hit them. So a lot of my speakers are in spots where they're not going to really want to run because they're still trying to get to the objective and they're not looking at anything that kind of sets them off. Their vision is kind of tunnel visioned to their objective, and as long as these traps aren't in their path or their line of sight, I find they won't charge them. So I just don't have anything here. But I do have darts kind of littered through, and you'll notice the floors start right on this cliff side. And then I kind of have them going down this way, and then I hop over one. I have a low wall here. Again, anywhere that I can, I'm putting windows with darts in this build. And then right here, I kind of have like a V-shaped design. So I'll try to get good views of this, because it's not as complicated as it might seem. It's pretty much just a couple tiles. So here, I'll just stand up here. So you see from here, it's like 1, 2, and then 3. The thing is, you can't have a dart shoot more than 3 tiles, or activate more than 3 tiles. So that's kind of the distance of all this. It's basically just 3 tiles. And then it's kind of just squared off so that it's kind of just basically a cascading 3-tile system going right into the middle here, where we have these floor spikes and then floor freezes stopping right here. And so you see, even over here, it's set up. Now this one probably won't activate, so even then I could probably be putting my dart right there instead. Like I said, I haven't really noticed too much issues, so I've just kind of left it. But yeah, there's always like these little changes that you can end up making later. Every time I go through these, I keep finding different things I could do or something I could tweak. So it's kind of funny that way. But we have our drop traps up here. So the side ones, you'll notice, are orientated a different way, and that's basically if they're on the side, I'm pushing them into the middle. So when I'm placing them, I'm kind of looking up to the north, and I'm placing the traps right here. The 2 sets of 2 here, so these 4, they're all pushing backwards. So for those 6 drop traps, that's how they're set up. And on this side, I just have 4 drop traps, and they're all just pushing back. If anything's coming over here and wanting to go down, I kind of already have it booby-trapped. But for the most part, the way it's all blocked off and set up, everything's walking this way anyway. So I don't have to worry about pushing them this side. Instead, I'm just kind of pushing them backwards and letting them keep walking forward while the darts are kind of shooting them. And then the anti-airs, these 3 anti-airs are all that I have needed to deter flingers or lobbers up on this upper part. But we'll get into that after. After that, anywhere they're pathing that's kind of in this range, basically anywhere there's floors, I have my electric fields in this second area. So you see, anywhere I have a box, I don't have an electric field over top. And it's basically just where they're going to be pathing to come down into this 2 spot. And this is right where these ramps all come up. It's kind of set in these 2 tiles right here. And I find they won't go this way, but if they do, I do have a few traps set up here. So, you know, a zapper and an electric field. For the most part, because I have that blocked off down there, they're going to want to divert over this way. So I have this set up. This start isn't so much for them walking here. This was supposed to be set up for right here. So I have that there. I closed it off. I was just testing some things. It was working closed off as well as open. So, I mean, you can use your discretion on all of this. This isn't a copy my build type thing, as it is just showing you what you can do. But at the same time, you can copy it and make improvements. It just, yeah. But it's not perfect. There's lots of things I can still do here. And there's lots of things I'm constantly still changing. But once you get past here, you get your zappers. And that's really like the last piece I have before they get down. And these darts, they'll pretty much cut through here. And they'll want to drop down from this ramp down here. They kind of drop down and go this way to the amp. So once they get past that freeze gas trap piece, there's really only these zappers and some high damage darts to try to kill them. A lot of times this gas trap is where most things will stop. It's very rare something gets past here. It's usually like a smasher or something, if anything, and by this point the darts and zappers are killing the smashers. It's kind of cool that you don't need a whole lot here to get the job done. Now occasionally you do get a flinger or something that might find its way through or phase through stuff from both directions, and they like to be right here. And I look at traps, I don't get how they get here. Everything is blocked off, but somehow they still manage here. That's why we have a dart and we have an anti-air down here to kind of handle those occasional weird phasing situations that take place. But everything else is set up pretty good. And then on this side we have our block off just to avoid Husks wanting to go down this way. Again, I have pieces that I don't need. Lots more builds I could be even more underbuilt, but it's not something I was focusing on. This 3 set is all that's needed to handle the Husks that spawn in here. And it's set up from this cliff across to this one, and then this one's just squared off with a separator. This block off right here is for the north side, and what we'll do is we'll take a look at that north spawn now and see how this all works. So for the north spawn of the northwest amp, we're going to come up over here, and then on this pillar cliff we have a few spawns that can come up as well. Down here on this back ledge, they like to spawn up over here. And then down here is where the rest will spawn, and they can spawn all the way back here kind of by this ramp. So sometimes you'll see things will like to try to go up there. That's why having block off all that back area is very important, because spawns come back this way. But for the most part, all the spawns will be down in this little gully here. And then the way we have this set up, they're all pathing up this way. So everything from up on that pillar cliff all the way up on that ledge, everything down here is all going to path over this way, and they're all going to walk up this ramp. And this ramp is really where we're setting all the damage at, so that nothing gets past. The first thing I do here, because of the spawns that take place down here, like some will come right to here, flingers love these back hills, and they will walk all the way around a really long way to be able to throw at your ramp. So I have to ensure that I'm doing enough to stop that. So what I do is I have a lot of block off. So right here, so where this ramp is, and it kind of will path up to the left here to another ramp, I have, a 4 tile block off set up here. So wall, floor, cone, and then 2 walls. And then they really like this spot, so I put a dart. And the dart it increases the building health, so it makes it a little less appealing, as well as it's killing them. So that's what I have. And then from this spot, I kind of just hop up here, and then this is that block off. So it's 3 tiles, so it's a floor, cone, and then 3 walls right here. And it kind of blends in with the block off that we just did up here. From that spot, I come up over here, and then right at this spot, this is again, if anything comes up over here, we don't want them walking this way, because then they can drop down and skip a bunch and kind of get to this spot. And then from here, they can walk up and start throwing from up here. So we don't want that to take place. So we block this off in a cube section, so it's just a wall, a cone, and then 2 walls over here to make sure that that spot's cleared off right up here, close to the spawn from the west. Then I drop down one and I do another cube. It's really in line with that cube, and it's right at the top where they're walking up here. So say for example they broke this piece and they were walking up, we're blocking this path too. And so we have a cone that's directed to the northwest, and we have 3 tiles, and that's just to stop them from, again, skipping across and going over here. So if they happen to break this final tile piece, and this is the last piece of block off that I'm using, so if they happen to break that, or they walk all the way around, which, no lie, I've seen it, they'll walk up here, and then the only place they have to go, because they can't go this way, which you can also put a dynamo here too, to really stop, but I found I haven't needed to. They want to walk basically right back through your tunnels from the west side. So they'll spawn from the north, and a flinger will literally walk the entire way around the mountain and have to go through another tunnel system. So this is how I have this whole back end set up to deal with flingers, because in this amp, I find this amp is probably my favorite amp, not just because I'm from the Northwest, but because it's easy to build, in my opinion. The most challenging part is this back hill area, and flingers getting to, this spot over here, and then they just kind of walk down and start throwing. But say, for example, they phase through, especially here where I have sound walls and launchers, I find phasing can happen, and all of a sudden they're magically like through all this block off with nothing broken and walk over here. That's why I have this anti-air as well as the dart, because in these two, the flingers will be destroyed and they're not going to really be able to throw because this anti-air is killing anything they toss in the air. And that's how I deal with that. So the next part I do on this amp is I set up this kind of ledge area right across here. So what I'll do is I'll come up here right where this cliff is. I'll just start my block off, and you'll notice there is floors here edited into half floors. So it's wall, a cone, well, floor, edited, cone, and always make sure you're upgrading. And then from this wall, again, it's a half floor, a cone, a wall, and then another half floor. And then I have my ceiling connected from the middle wall, basically, in that block off. Then I also have a wall right here edited into that little quarter piece, like that. And that's just in case something did happen to get caught here. It's not falling down and then getting up here where it can start breaking all this block off. So this block off, you'll notice it goes all the way up and over. And I'm doing that in the best way I can with just the floors, the cones, and the walls all the way down. If it's a cone, then I'll edit it up so it's, blocking their pathing. And I'm just putting walls. There's no floor tiles on this. This is all just your standard wall cone block off with floors only in the spots where it's elevated and you're just kind of stopping their pathing. And then I have a dynamo or a zap-o-max right here just to really stop it from anything coming over here. It just tries to kill it instantly. So they're not breaking any of this block off. That's going all the way up here to where I have it, coned. At the very top, I have it coned all the way around. Then I have it walled again, like so. So like that. And then from this point, I'm just putting a wall across here, right to where this ridge is, across back here, and then I'm kind of going to tile over. So they can still drop from this point. They'll drop down here, but it's stopping the pathing from the west. That whole wall setup is stopping most husks from wanting to divert left and go to the amp this way. That's how you can have this opened, and they're not wanting to go down there because this way is way more appealing for them to be able to hit the amp faster. They don't like this wall. So it's kind of multifunctional, this wall setup. So from there, I'll go back over because I'm just kind of covering all the block off. And then I'll have the two walls there that I have launchers on. And then I put another wall right there. And then from this wall, I kind of connect it across along that cliff. And then I have a few brace points. So I have a brace point up here, and then I kind of build the ceiling. So I put a wall here, and then I just go across 2 tiles by 3, and that will lead me to this cliff face. And then I just kind of take it across to where that middle piece is, and I connect it there too. And then I'll have my dart set up. I'll put this speaker and dart here, just to make sure that's all covered. And then from here, the back row is all electric fields, so where they spawn. And then because they're dropping down, they'll activate these tires and make the tires drop. And I'm kind of getting a benefit from that. So how I have these tires set up, if you take a look, they're being pushed towards the path that I want them to go. So all these tires, I'm kind of placing them while I'm facing the west, and anytime they fall, they're going to push the husks this way. And then these 2 tires are no different. I'm kind of wanting them to be pushed away from the wall here and down in here. So I have that set up. And the reason I have this second one here is just in case they do break through this speaker, they still have this dart shooting and this launcher flinging them down here and right into this spot, so they have to walk around again. And that's my goal with this whole section over on this side. So that's kind of like phase 2 of the north spawn. So the last part is just this main tunneling system that we're using to kill husks. Before we get into that, I do place 3 tiles here. These are kind of dual functioning because they'll also serve to help the sinkhole lamp over there. So we have these tiles right here, and then right down here I have 2 more tiles of block off right here. Again, kind of a dual functioning thing for helping out the sinkhole lamp, but as well as they just serve to avoid anything coming over this way and diverting down, up, and over and skipping your whole tunnel system. So it's pretty vital to have that. Again, if you wanted to, you could always add like something here. I found I haven't needed to add any traps to really make sure they don't go down there. They just avoid that altogether. But you could like dart and dynamo it if you wanted to. But as I said, I found you haven't needed to. So what this is a 2 tile wide ramp. What I've done is I've just blocked off one side completely with wall, floor, cone, wall, floor, cone, and then a wall, cone. And then I kind of capped it off there. And then I also put another cone in behind where that second wall to cap it off is. And then on this back side where I have all these darts, it's basically just following the whole ramp all the way down. And then I have it closed off. And then on top of the cones, I have a second piece where I have all these walls, and they're basically just darts, so that as things are walking up the ramp, these darts are shooting anything big. So these ones will hit all the other husks, but these ones here are mainly hitting the smashers, blasters, anything tall. These darts will hit them, and it really helps clear out the smashers before they get to the amp spot, and they want to wreck everything that's up here. So we're really trying to avoid that from happening. So that's kind of what I do. I start with the block off section, like so, and then I just carry darts all the way across, basically to where this pillar is. So we're 1 tile from the end of where the amp is, and then I kind of just do the floors. I'll set this up. It just kind of gives me my pathing. And then I have a quarter wall here. It's basically just to push them in on this side, and this is where I start, where the ramp is. I start with the speaker, really just to avoid things from blowing up, but it's not really doing too much here because as they're getting up here, things are killing them. So on each side, as they're walking up, I basically have zap-o-maxes or dynamos hitting them, and then in behind the dynamo on the back side, they're being shot with darts too. We have it set up so that there's drop traps. This drop trap is pushing them in, so if they're trying to walk this way to go to this little ramp down spot, this drop trap is pushing them back this way, and then this drop trap is going and pushing them back this way. So wherever you place them, your back is kind of facing where they're going to push. So when I place this one, it's this way, and when I place this one, it's this way. And then it's the same thing. So the first layer where I have the triple dynamo darts, it's the same thing up here. So I have triple dynamo, I didn't even upgrade that one, triple dynamo, and then the darts. I don't have a dart on this wall, but you can. It will just help more with smashers that happen to come up this way. It just, again, I was kind of trying to go with the minimum. There's lots of things you can do here. Like you can even put a floor tile here, like lots of different things that you can set up, like another dart right here even. Lots of ways to add increased damage. It just, again, with the minimum style building, I was trying to avoid that. Even as you get up here, there's lots of places like darts. Like you can literally do so much more in the back part here. I just really haven't. I like the open setup. I don't like amp designs too much. There's a few spots that I will have them just because it helps. But it's just, I like having this so open. My goal was to have the amount of free structures I do free so that I can make my designs and kind of make it look fun. But there's a lot more you can do to strengthen this if you so chose. Even here, I don't have a dart right here. Or here. Yeah, see, this might even be disappearing traps, which is another thing that happens in endurances. Your traps can disappear sometimes. But I'll just put those there because they should be there. Those ones I definitely want. But yeah, so they'll walk up here, and I basically just have everything lined with dynamos, and there's darts in behind. And then the traps, we have your electric fields coming up from those 2 drop traps. We have electric fields there, and then gas traps as you're reaching the top. And then I just have 2 zappers with a dart at the very end shooting anything that comes up that hill. And that is how I have this northwest amp set up. Well, that's my video today. I hope this information is helpful. I find it very fun to do these things, and the amount of support that I'm getting and the feedback is just really great. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you around.